Hi everyone, it's Lisa here for Honeybee Stamps. In today's video, I'm going to be creating a slimline card full of rainbows, so lots of die cutting with this card. I'm also going to share how I use the cloud border honey cuts to create a background for the card, and I use the scraps for a quick stencil. I have a second version of this card at the end of the video, so be sure to stick around for that. Now I'm using the Rainbow Wishes stamps and coordinating honey cut dies along with the cloud border honey cuts, and everything's going to be linked below for you. I have a piece of heavy cardstock here that measures 8 inches wide by 9 inches long, and I'm going to score that at 4 inches with my Teflon boulder and give it a good crease. Now, I knew when I started this, I wanted to create a background for my rainbows, and I knew that I wanted it to be puffy clouds because I don't know, that just makes perfect sense to me. So I grabbed those cloud border honey cuts and I've picked 2 of those dies from that set, and I'm just adhering them to a piece of white cardstock that measures 4 inches wide by 9 inches long with some purple tape, and then I run that through my die cut machine. I bring it back to my table, remove those dies, and I'm going to flip them to the opposite side and secure them back down and run them back through the die cutting machine to create my background for my card. So simple. So I'm hanging on to those scraps because we're actually getting ready to use those to ink up our background. Now, I would have skipped this process had I known I was using 4 rainbows. I changed my mind during this whole process. So you could completely skip this, or you could do this straight to your card base, and that would be a nice background also. All I did was use the scraps from my die cutting, some summer sky ink. I'm using my blender brush. I'm loading that ink on my brush, and I'm using upward strokes because that's paper, a temporary stencil made out of paper. I don't want to work in circular motions and have to worry about bending the paper back and then ink being where I don't want it. So upward strokes will guarantee that you don't bend the paper while you're inking it up. So here we go. There's our background. Now I love the way this turned out. Now, I went ahead and I did a lot of die cutting off screen just to save some time. And I ran the rainbow dies through my die cutting machine, and I have 6 bands of each color here. I'm going to go ahead and start laying the rainbows out. I'm using a piece of Post-it tape to do this. And the reason I'm using Post-it tape is I don't have to worry about exact placement, glue drying before I can get it where I want it, all that fun stuff. So if I just lay it out on the Post-it tape, then I can come in once I have everything where I want it, put my adhesive down, and then take a piece of white cardstock that I've trimmed to fit the back of it and then set it aside to dry. So while all the rainbows are drying, I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of interest to the sides of our background with the swirls from the Rainbow Wishes stamp set. I love these little swirls, and I'm just using gray ink to add this to the card base. Also, while I have everything right there, I'm going to go ahead and stamp my sentiment onto some heavy cardstock with that same gray ink. And then I'm going to go ahead and run that through my die cut machine. While I'm here doing some die cutting, I'm going to use the scraps from the rainbow bands that I cut out earlier and go ahead and die cut some tiny little hearts. Now, these hearts come with the Rainbow Wishes die set. I went ahead and I secured the little ink blended background down to the card base with liquid adhesive, and I decided exactly where I wanted my rainbows to sit on there, and then added mounting foam to the back of them, and I'm going to go ahead and secure them down. Now off screen, again, I did die cutting because there was so much of it, and I die cut white cardstock and silver glitter cardstock with the coordinating dies. Also, a few more of those sentiment strips I just cut out of scrap paper so I could stack them together with a liquid adhesive to give my sentiments some dimension. And then I'm going to go ahead and use square foams and liquid adhesive to add the sentiment and all the rest of the clouds to the front of the card. Placement, I always feel like, is kind of personal preference. So wherever you decide to place all of your, things, that's completely up to you. I decided that I was going to take these little silver clouds, add glue to one end and then a foam square to the other end, and kind of tuck those clouds in underneath the rainbows. And I like the way that was. I decided though I wanted the other ends of the rainbows covered, so I came in with the white clouds and added those. This one here, I'm just going to take my scissors and trim that off. Now I'm going to come in with all of those tiny little hearts that we cut out. I'm going to use glossy accents to go ahead and adhere them to the card, and then I'm actually going to go back over them and cover them with glossy accents. We're going to add some Aurora Lights confetti to this card. I love this Aurora Lights confetti. And then I do believe that's going to wrap it up. Thanks for joining me today. I hope you'll click the subscribe button and ring the bell to be notified of new content to this channel. For more information about the products used during the video, head over to Honeybee Stamps website, and I hope you have an amazing day.